How many of your students struggle with big, intimidating words? Words with 4, 5, 6 syllables. Their eyes get big, they freeze, and then they give up. But what if I told you that there is a simple way for your students to decode those big words easily and confidently? Hi, I'm Tammy with the Seller Teacher Company, and today I am back to talk to you all about syllabication. I am going to tell you about the 6 syllable types and how your students can use those to help them decode those big words. Let's dive in. You may be wondering why you should teach syllabication in upper elementary. And if you're anything like me, in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade classroom, you might be thinking, well, my students learned how to decode back when they were in the primary grades. But the truth is, as students get into the upper grades, we know that they are going to be encountering much more complex texts, and they're more likely to see those longer words that are going to require them to break them down in order to be able to read them. So if we can focus on explicitly teaching our students the syllable types, we are arming them with the tools to decode those words confidently. In order to get started with syllabication, the first thing we need to know is what is syllabication? And really, it's just breaking down words into syllables, as simple as that. And you may or may not know that there are 6 syllable types. And if we explicitly teach our students the 6 syllable types and give them plenty of practice with recognizing them and breaking down words, then our students will be able to use that when they come across unknown words in text that they read. So let's talk about the syllable types. The very first one that we are going to talk about is closed syllables. So we can see that a closed syllable is really just a syllable that ends in a consonant. And believe it or not, closed syllables are the most common type of syllables in the English language. So we definitely want to make sure that our students know this syllable type and can recognize it. And here is an example for you. We have the word napkin, and you can see that napkin has 2 syllables, and they are both closed syllables. And if we look closely, nap ends in that consonant sound, and kin also ends in that consonant sound. And closed syllables, most of the time, are going to have a short vowel sound, and you see that here in our example. Our second syllable type is open syllables. And open syllables is basically a syllable that ends with a vowel. It's not going to have a consonant in the end of it. It's just going to end with a vowel. And we have an example right here, the word broken. And you can see that the first part of this word is our open syllable, the word bro. And you probably noticed that that vowel sound, the O, is a long O. For most open syllables, we are going to have a long vowel sound. Something to keep in mind as we're talking about syllable types is that there is always an exception to the rule. And it's okay to share this with your students. Most of the time, these syllables are going to follow these rules that we're talking about, but there's always going to be an exception. Our third syllable type is the magic E. And really, when you see this syllable type, it is going to have this pattern, vowel, consonant, E. And I don't know about you, but I have always said, the magic E is going to make that vowel say its name. It's going to make it a long vowel. But in truth, the magic E has 9 different jobs. So that's not always the case, but in these syllables, the magic E syllables, you are going to see that long vowel sound for the consonant and the E. So the example here is we have the word reptile, and you can see that rep, of course, is a closed syllable. It has that short vowel and the consonant at the end. But then our second syllable in the word reptile is a magic E syllable. We have the vowel I, we have our consonant, and then we have the E at the end. And of course, that magic E is making I a long I sound, so we would pronounce it tile. And that is the magic E syllable. Our next syllable type is vowelteens. And vowelteen syllables are those that have 2 vowels right next to each other. And what we'll notice about these is that those 2 vowels work together to make one sound. Our example here is the word raincoat. We know that raincoat is 2 syllables. And if we look closely at our first syllable, rain, we have the vowel team AI, and it's working together to make the long A sound. The next syllable is coat, and we have the vowel team OA working together to make the long O sound. And of course, there are some exceptions to this rule, and that's what I love about these anchor charts. When you start teaching these syllable types to your students, you will have this as a reference to share with them and something that they can refer back to as they're learning and practicing with the syllable types. Let's take a look at our controlled syllables. When we look at these syllables, we might think, that's got to be a closed syllable. It ends with a consonant. But our controlled syllables are just a little bit different, and that's because in our controlled syllables, the vowel is not making the sound that we would expect it to make. It is not going to be that short vowel sound. Instead, the R controls what the vowel is saying. So in this example, we have the word farmer. Of course, it is 2 syllables, and they are both R controlled syllables. So we have far, and you can see that that A is not making, the short A sound or the long A sound. It is an R controlled syllable, kind of different. And then mer, same thing. And of course, there are some exceptions, and be sure and take a look at these as you are looking over our controlled syllables. The 6th syllable type is consonant and LE, AL, or EL. And this syllable type is going to have a letter combination that makes the ol sound. So you will have a consonant, and then right after that consonant will be the LE, the AL, or the EL, and it will almost always be the final syllable in a word. Most often it's the LE, but we do occasionally see AL or EL. So our example here is the word turtle. It is a 2-syllable word, and you can see the first syllable is an R controlled syllable, and then the second one is the consonant T, and then LE, so toll is the way that would be pronounced. And of course, we have some additional examples: council, global, and timetable. So now that you know the 6 syllable types, you want to make sure that your students know them as well. So how are you going to do that? Well, in order to teach syllabication, the first thing you want to focus on is explicit instruction. You need to teach your students specifically what each syllable type is and give them plenty of examples and practice. Another thing that's going to be really helpful for your students is to teach them how to divide words into syllables. So once they know these syllable types, it's helpful for them to learn the syllable division rules and for them to learn how to break up a big word in order to be able to read that. Now, for the sake of conciseness in this video, I'm not going to talk about that. However, we do have a video right here on our YouTube channel all about teaching students to read big words. So once you have taught your students these syllable types, I definitely recommend going back to that video, learning that strategy, and making sure that they learn it as well. I know as an upper elementary teacher, I know that your schedule is jam-packed, and this probably just seems like one more thing that you just don't have time for. But I want to assure you that if you can make the time to teach your students the 6 syllable types and give them hands-on practice and a lot of feedback as they learn and practice with these syllable types, the reward will be worth it. You are going to see your students reading more fluently, more accurately. They will have better comprehension, and they will be more confident. So you're not going to have those moments anymore where they freeze wide-eyed and give up on those multi-syllabic words. You will see them tackle those big words with confidence. It's important to remember that this is not just for struggling readers. Every reader can benefit from learning about the syllable types and learning how to divide words into syllables in order to decode them. Now, if you've just watched this video and you are hooked, you want to teach your students all about this, but you're not sure how, I can help you make teaching syllabication so easy. Our syllable types lesson plans, which are linked down in our show notes below, have everything you need to teach your students all of the syllable types, as well as give them plenty of practice so that they can master them. Not only will it include the anchor charts that I featured here today, there are scripted lesson plans, there are student practice pages, Google Slides, everything you need to make teaching syllabication super easy. So be sure and check that out. I just want to say thank you so much for being here today, and I would love to hear from you in the comments. What is one challenge you face when trying to teach your students about syllabication or decoding multi-syllabic words? Let us know down in the comments. And please, if this video has been helpful for you, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and to like this video, share it with your fellow teacher friends, and be sure and come back next week for another video all about literacy in upper elementary.